Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our weekly live show. I am Fabiana Claure, pianist and business strategist for musicians. And I'm excited to come to you today with a special training on how you can grow your music business without external funding. And so let's define this for a second. When it comes to growing your business, there are different ways that you can do this. And the most important thing is that you recognize that the moment your business starts to require external funding, you are going to need to know how to go about those options. And in many instances, if you have someone who wants to provide external funding in your business, chances are they may want to also become part owners of your business, meaning they may want to have equity in your business, access a portion of the ownership of your business. So I want to talk to you about the alternative ways in which you can, create the growth that your business needs and not necessarily give away parts of the ownership of your business, because that ultimately may be a liability that you may not want to incur, especially as you are scaling and expanding your business. So welcome again. You are in the right place if you are a musician entrepreneur who wants to scale your music business and figure out how to continue growing without having to sacrifice your quality of life, without having to add more hours on your day. And if you're trying to learn how to work smart and not harder, right? So welcome, say hello in the chat. I know I've got some of you watching me live. Let me know in the comments where you're watching me from. And what are your questions as it relates to external funding and ways that you can grow your business? So let's talk about a couple of things that are going to help you really understand the options that you have and why, no matter where you are in your business, whether you are starting the business, whether you already have an existing base of clients, you're already working actively, or whatever stage you're in, maybe you've already outsourced some of it. The important thing about looking for external funding is understanding that, number one, you need to be able to outsource your attention. You need to outsource the things that are taking off your plate, that are distracting you from growing and focusing on the profit producing activities, right? And so what you need to think about is when it comes to raising funds, to creating more revenue, the first thing you need to be able to do is remove you from doing the activities that are draining the profitability of your business. And sometimes it's hard because when you're the solopreneur, when you're starting this process, or when you're already successful, but there's still a lot that depends on you, it's hard to kind of remove yourself and let go and see the bigger picture, right? But you need to actually be able to understand the longer you hold on to activities that are more on the producer level, that are about doing things in your business instead of focusing on the growth, on the vision, on the systems, on the procedures, and also on the people that eventually you're going to need to bring into your business. The longer you're the one doing everything, the harder it's going to be for you to grow. So whether or not you have the funds to hire other people, you need to be resourceful. I like to see this as you may not have the resources, but if you understand how important it is for you to remove yourself from the constant day-to-day activities in your business and instead start looking at the things that you need to delegate one way or another, like when you awaken to that reality, you're going to start growing your business, and it's not necessarily going to require external funding. It starts with a perspective shift. So number one is shift your mindset around what you need to focus on your business and what should you start now outsourcing and delegating. And now you may be asking, well, how am I going to outsource and delegate if I don't have the income to do this? Well, here's the thing. You need to look for the who, not the how, right? If you've read the book called Who, Not How, you're going to understand this principle that not everything requires funding. You can find people in your immediate network. You can barter. I've had clients who've been able to switch teaching piano and getting the parents to be, administrative assistants or supporting them with web design and other things in their businesses. You can find people to exchange services with, not necessarily needing to get that external funding. You can find interns in universities that may be interested in gaining some work and professional experience around what you do, and you can reach out and offer the opportunity to support you for a certain amount of hours every week and start offloading things that you should not be doing, right? You can look for opportunities to create collaborations. You have skills to offer, and sometimes people may be interested in those skills, but may not necessarily, again, be in a position to pay for what you're doing. You can offer to exchange services for a period amount of time, limited amount of time. You can look for many different ways to, rearrange your work structure. Once you've awakened to the fact that as an entrepreneur that needs to grow, you simply cannot continue doing it all. You have to find strategic ways to delegate, to outsource the work that you're doing. Sometimes we have people in our network of friends, even, and family, who are supporters, who would love to chime in and take things off our plate, and we just discard that because we're not thinking about delegation. We're so close-minded with the idea of just being the one doing it all that opportunities pass by us. People are interested. They are even express words of enthusiasm and excitement for what we're doing. But if you're not looking for that opportunity, you're going to let that pass by, and you're not going to be able to maximize that. So again, the number one thing you need to do before you even think about finding external funding is discover what are the things that you are not doing, that you should not be doing in your business, that even though you can do them, and even though you've learned to do them, which is sometimes the hardest part, right? To let go. You've learned things to get to this point, right? Let me know in the comments if you feel like to get to where you are in your business, you've had to learn a lot. Like maybe you had to learn about building a website, maybe building a teaching platform, or teaching things and communicating your content. Maybe you've developed copywriting skills. Maybe you've learned about communication strategies. Maybe you've learned a lot of things up until this point, and you're like, what are you telling me, Fabiana? I have to unlearn to relearn? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. You need to be willing to let go of all those skills to embrace new learning journeys about leadership, about development, about how to now create systems and procedures to help people take things off your plate, right? So it starts with developing what I like to call the CEO mindset. You don't have to be the one doing it all. You need to be able to make those distinctions. Now, beyond that, looking for the who, not how. Where can you look around your existing network? And it doesn't always need to mean huge expenses. So many people come to me and say, hey, Fabiana, I would love to be able to grow my business and start delegating, but I'm just not making enough money. I'm not getting enough clients. When you stop thinking as a consumer and start thinking as an investor, and even if you have very, very limited resources, you can understand how when you put them into good use and you delegate things that you should not be doing, all of a sudden your business can actually grow more because you are allocating your attention and your time in the profit producing activities. Somebody write profit producing activities in the chat. Profit producing time. That's the most important thing. Once you know what you should be focusing on, the key is to then be able to outsource the things that should not be on your plate at all. And finding, again, interns, finding family members, finding friends, offering bartering collaborations, exchanging services. I love when my clients become resourceful, right? They may not have the resources, but they make it resourceful. They become resourceful in figuring out collaboration opportunities, right? There's also ways where you can outsource things without necessarily needing to break the bank. You can find people to work in different currencies overseas. There's many different ways. This is something that I do a lot in the work I do with my clients. It's kind of showing them the path that don't require all this external funding in order to grow their businesses. So when you do seek external funding, if again, you have someone who's willing to support you and give you some sort of a loan, just be careful that you want to try as much as possible to, create any sort of negotiation or loan arrangement where it doesn't necessarily involve you giving a portion of your equity of the business ownership, right? I don't recommend you do that if you're in the early stages. Even if you're in the mid stages, you can always negotiate perhaps an interest rate, a repayment period, and not necessarily, give away equity in that source of external funding. But today's training is opening your mind to the fact that you don't always need to feel this sense of, frustration, perhaps, of not having, a significant amount of funding in your business to grow. You can look for ways to do it strategically within the people you know, with collaborations, with internship students, looking for universities. I mean, especially if you have an online business, you can literally target universities all around the world. Like you can offer this opportunity if you develop relationships, finding people who are going to want to connect. But again, the last thing I'm going to say is one of the things that's going to allow you to rally people around you is your ability to communicate your vision and the mission behind what you're building. When I started my first music business, my music academy, Superior Academy of Music, we involved our network in the whole journey. We told them about what we were planning on building. They saw us prepare a music business plan. They saw us presented in competitions and compete against MBA students. My husband and I were going completely out of our comfort zone in the process of just building this business and letting our audience, our community, our people see what that journey was like, how we were presenting things, getting out of our comfort zone, learning, showing people our plan, letting them know, what do you think about it? So the more you can involve people in your journey as you're building and evolving and reinventing yourself in your music business, the higher the chances of people saying, you know what, I want to support you in this venture. I want to be a part of this movement. I want to be, a piece in this to help you bring this vision to life. And that's exactly what happened to us. We had people who just raised their hand. We didn't ask for help, but because we were involving them in the planning and the developing and the brainstorming and then the momentum we were building, when they saw us start gaining traction and start making progress and win awards and start getting through the whole journey of building this business, it really started to feel real. They offered to become, supporters and investors and all these things. So it's very possible that you can get people excited as long as you're bringing them into your journey. Okay. So I want you to keep thinking about this, because again, the more you can look at what are you doing in your business right now that you should stop doing, how can you start now gathering strategies and resources to outsource the things that you don't need to do, even if you're good at them, right? And how can you start creating more space for you to strategically plan working on the business instead of in the business? And lots of these things are things that we're going to be talking about in my upcoming 5-day masterclass that's going to help musicians really build, grow, and understand how you can build a music business that doesn't necessarily require you to be involved in every step of your day, right? You're not necessarily going to be the producer of the business. So I'm putting the link here. Let me see if this lets me put it in the chat. Yes, here we go. So if you want to learn more strategies on how you can start creating this space in your music business, if you are finding yourself burned out, if you have a lot on your plate, you're trying to figure out where could you rearrange the way you work, the way you teach, the way you connect with others, then I want to invite you to register, because in a couple of weeks, I am going to be walking you through a 5-day experience on how you can build and grow and redesign your music business to create space, right? Who doesn't want space? Who doesn't want more spaciousness in the way you live in your day and your time? And that's exactly what I'm passionate about helping musicians do. So I hope this has helped you get some ideas going, get the juices flowing. Let me know what your number one takeaway is from today's session. And hop on over to Musicians Profit Masterclass to reserve your seat in our upcoming 5-day masterclass, where I'm going to be walking you through a lot more in-depth strategies on how you can grow your music business without sacrificing your quality of life. Thanks for watching, everyone. Let me know what your takeaways are. I want to hear from you. And what would you like for me to talk about in my next weekly live show? See you, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Let's prosper together.